Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I hope y'all have had a wonderful day. Oh, dang. I forgot that part. That part. I hope y'all had a wonderful day. I am tired as ever. I'm still not used to going live at 10 o'clock, but it is what it is. And I gotta do what I gotta do. But before I do what I gotta do, I need me like 2 good minutes, 2 good minutes. Please and thank you. So I can just not get my mind right, because getting my mind right is a work in progress on a regular basis. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But 2 good minutes so I can just get me some meditation in there. That's all. That's all. Split second. 2 minutes be going by really, really quick. Really, really quick. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just need that 2 minutes. I am still meditating. Welcome, 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 y'all. I'm still meditating on throat chakra. I actually said that I was going to I am going to begin to meditate on, I don't know what's next. The chakras are, I didn't catch 414 this time, but I did catch 415. And anyone that was on the live or that has seen the live since last week knows that I caught 414 last week. It's weird. But it is what it is, because even when I see 415, I'm just thinking of 414. So, yes, the chakras are, this is new stuff to me, so I am researching as I go. I stated on the live when I first began doing the live on YouTube, because I've been doing the live on Facebook for quite some time. But when I first started doing the live on YouTube, I stated that I started off in the wrong chakra. and I had to go back and begin with the root. And um, after I did the root, I'm not even going to say that the throat was what was next, because it can't be next, because the root is at the root. So the throat cannot come next. But the throat is where I believe that I was led next. So I've been in the throat um, ever since I left the root. So, yes, I want to research within this week to see if I'm just going to go back, like double back and start back from where the root um, leaves off and just go in order. Or, if I'm going to fast and meditate and seek out if I need to go to another chakra after the throat. But anywho, Sylvie 414, y'all. This is Sylvie the Rough Edge Lady. That one in the middle is for the balance. And tonight we are talking about compassion. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to be on compassion for a little bit. But if you notice the title, my title is Compassion or Not. I believe that there is a time for compassion. I'm going to finish this because that's what I'm working on. I'm going to finish that and then I'm going to go where I'm going. There's a time for compassion, and there's a time where compassion, you might have to throw it out the window. Compassion or not. When should you be compassionate to somebody? When should you or not? Like that. So, that's why I do it how I do it. Because when I don't do it like that, it's like, oh, that's not what I was getting ready to say. It's not. When I don't do it like that, I mess around and forget what I'm going to say. But my baby's always telling me, finish that one statement. So I finished the one statement. Finished telling you what compassion was about and forgot what I was getting ready to interject right there. It'd be a method to my madness. It'd be a method to my madness. So, I'm doing my hair. And so I did not want to be trying to go in and hide nothing or anything like that. But I did try to, do something, make it look a little pleasant, because I did just have all of this pulled up in a ponytail, just like pulling one down at a time. I'm really, really excited because I'm not having to go in and put weave on these. I have weave. It's a couple. It's one with a where's the thing at? Maybe it's gone. Oh, maybe it's up in there. That still has a piece of weave on it, because I did have weave on some of them. But for the most part, the ones with the weave have already grown out. And these ones, I'm excited about those because, like, my hair has been growing out for this the longest ever, probably about 4 months. welcome. Probably longer than that. Like, it's about 3 inches of new growth up here, and I've never gone that long. But it allowed my edges to get to a point where I could just go ahead on and interlock those. And I don't think they're going to come out, because prior to, I was just trying to braid them or put the weave on them. But I didn't want to put no weave on them, and they is doing what they do, and I am okay with that. So compassion on all y'all. We're going to get right to that thing. So real quick, I got 2 little Bible verses that I'm going to read. I read one back on, I think it was the 16th. No, excuse me. It was the 12th. It was the 12th. And then today. So, and I know it was the 12th because I read the Proverbs per the day. So Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. And Proverbs 19 and 3, I just took the first part of that. And when I chose that one, because I had chose another one, and went in and wholly studied that other one and was like, yeah, no, Lord, I don't think that's it. And sometimes that's the way that it go down with me and Lord. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, hey. Look, I don't be seeing them comments sometimes. I said I was gonna try to see if I could pull the comments up on this phone, because even with these spectacles on, them comments be little. But my bad, y'all. Don't let me get distracted. That'd be the thing too. Didn't know that I was reading, that I was choosing that other one, the second one, based off being foolish as well. But the second one is Proverbs 19:3a. The foolishness of man perverteth his ways. So the first one, again, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. So if you don't hearken unto counsel, this is how we get to Proverbs 19 and 3. The way of a fool, the foolishness of man perverteth his ways. So if you're not willing to hearken unto wise counsel, be ready to know that your ways are going to be perverted. And that's where we get to compassion or nah. So let me tell y'all how I got to compassion. And I didn't get there from church first, but I feel like church was going to church was the confirmation. Anybody that watched knows that at this point, a lot of the content that I bring comes from the fact that I do be watching these YouTube podcasters, see what they be talking about. And so I was watching Night and Day guys. Those are my dudes. Like, I watch them a lot. I done been on their platform like twice. I've been on a few platforms, but I've been on theirs twice, and I'm always commenting on theirs, and they'll respond back to their comments. And even if they don't respond back, they will go in and acknowledge that you commented on something. I like that about them, and I like that about Willie D. They always will at least acknowledge, and I know both of them, they got a lot of followers, so they don't really have to acknowledge, because a lot of people that have more followers than them or less followers than them don't acknowledge when people be on their platform. So I be like, kudos for that. Even on TikTok, like when I see people that be having large following, and I ain't nosy, but if I see something I want to comment on, I'm gonna comment on it. I don't be like the dudes. Them dudes trip me out talking about you clout chasing. I went to that comment solely based off of my daughter reposting something and me saying, oh, okay, Lord, I don't always just be going into things like they want to smoke, but I just be going to see what the comments is when you post such ridiculousness. I want to see what people saying. And once I get over there, if I feel the need to comment, it is what it is. But I'm going to get over there. They talking about I'm clout chasing because I say what I talk about on my platform. Just as I say I got a platform don't mean it's big. And that's what I had to let them know. My platform is not big enough for me to clout chase. And if I was going to clout chase, who are you to clout chase? Who are you, sir? Tell me, who are you? That part. Who are you? Who am I clout chasing? I am just responding to a post because you got the right one, baby. That is when the Most High shows me sometimes it's not meant for you to respond to all the posts. You don't got to give everybody the smoke. That's part of this compassion or not, because I feel like if you're wrong, I can give you the smoke if I want to. And the Lord say you don't have to be doing people like that. You don't got to get nobody to smoke just because you feel like you want to get somebody to smoke. So the 90 Day guys was talking about compassion based off Wendy Williams. Now let me say this. And I have no idea when Darling is going to be on this post. I love you, love. I love you, because you support me, one thing for sure and two things for certain. But I have no idea when you're gonna be on this post, on this live. But compassion, Wendy Williams. This takes me back to prior to me meeting the person that I am talking to on this live, because I was living with someone who I thought was a friend. I just spoke about this with someone. Yeah, this morning. Living with someone who I thought was a friend. And the day had gone a little strangely to me. Somebody else contested to that a little later on, that the day had gone strangely. And we get in there and we chilling. And we get to talk about Wendy Williams. And she's talking, she said something to the effect of, I'm a killer, or if I had a knife and could get near, I'm a killer. I'm like, dang, you want to kill Wendy? Dang, you want to kill Wendy? I'm like, what Wendy do to you? Because I love Wendy. I'm sorry. And I explained to the person this morning, everybody you love is not always going to be right in your eyes. They're not always going to do right things. I told that person this morning, I can love somebody who is a murder. I love people who have harmed me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love people who have harmed me. So I can love somebody who does something very wrong and not condone what they did. Period. But in that young lady's eyes, I was not even supposed to love Wendy Williams, because that thing went from 0 to 100 real quick. Real quick. It wound up turning into a police matter. And that's when my girlfriend came. And I told the person this morning, I said, I don't even know what made me call the young lady that I called. But what I knew was when I called Lakeisha, she was coming. And she came. And she got me. And she was ready for whatever might have went down that night. Nothing had to go down that night. I said all that to say, I love Wendy, and that woman didn't want me to love Wendy. I showed compassion on Wendy. I done been following Wendy since she was riding up and down I-95 sniffing lines. I don't know if I was supposed to say that. Well, I mean, that's not alleged. I just don't know if I was supposed to say that for my platform's sake, y'all. I'm still learning this thing, but that's not alleged because Wendy put that in her books. She put that in her books that she was driving down New Jersey Turnpike going from 97 BLS KISS to her job in DC, because she did the radio in DC and in New York. She was a pro. She was probably driving with her knees. I ain't trying to be funny. I don't do what Wendy did, but I have driven with my knees before. I will say that. It is what it is. I have driven with my knees, so I know what it is to drive and be preoccupied. And we all can be preoccupied by something. You're gonna get in the crash. You're gonna get in the crash whether you're trying to eat a piece of chicken, put on some lipstick. All of that can get you in a crash. That's all I'm saying. But I love Wendy in spite of. So I've been showing Wendy Williams compassion for years, for years, because I just had compassion with her plight, and I understood that what she was doing was her job. There's plenty of folks out here that got jobs that are less than pleasant to the public or certain parties in the public. Plenty. It is folks in your daily life. It don't even have to be their job that you love that's gonna run that gossip. And sometimes you like to sit there and listen. I used to run that gossip. I used to run that gossip. It is who I was. You grow. And when I came to a point that the Most High was taking me out of running that gossip and understood that I could not even hang around people that was gonna run that gossip because I knew where I was. It's certain things that I was able to walk away from and still be in the midst of. Certain things I had to walk away from and separate myself from until I was strengthened enough to be able to handle it. Running that gossip was one of them. Gossip is not always a lie. Many of the times it's not a lie. It's gossip because you're talking about other people's business. She just got paid to talk about other people's business. And just like the Night and Day guy said, she had a viewing. She had a viewing that ran with her from the time that she was on the radio until the time that they took her off of this TV after she talked to Dr. Oz. After she talked to Dr. Oz. Anybody want to know about her and Dr. Oz, go look up Wendy Williams and Dr. Her and Dr. Oz. After she talked to Dr. Oz is when it seems as though everything went awry for Wendy. But she had her following. And I'll do you one better. Cause I like to I ain't gonna say add insult to injury, but I like to piggyback on some things sometimes. Some of the folk that talk about her real bad, you had to follow her to know who she was, or you talking about things you don't know nothing about. Period. You either talking about things you don't know nothing about, because back when Wendy came out, because I done said that about Kevin Samuels, who the Most High brought back to me again today, about these women, because we talking about women today when we talk about compassion. Most all of it is women and societal oppression. The Night and Day guys said that Wendy deserves some compassion in spite of everything. Just thinking about, I'm on this platform on a regular basis talking about healing, knowing that I walk in a daily process where I have to keep at the forefront of my mind that I know where I was, where I am, where I desire to be. Welcome, 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 y'all. I thank y'all for sitting with me. I really do. I promise you, I really do. But this process is not an easy one. I thank the Most High when I receive someone who can relate, who has been through. I just watched a podcaster who is doing big things. She got a Spotify podcast. She got a Spotify podcast. She got several YouTube pages because she does true crime as well. Haven't checked out her true crime page as of yet, but I want to check that out. Her name is Lovely T. but she spoke about on her platform having battles with depression and how hard it can be sometimes to just get up out of bed. And when I say she faithful to what she do, she faithful to what she do. Spotify, like her, she just got a billboard face on the side of a building in New York, and she couldn't even make it to that because she was being honored somewhere else or something. So she couldn't make it to the honor in New York. So she's doing big things. You know what I'm saying? But the struggle is real, and I understand that, and I have always understand that. I believe there have been people over the years who feel like I don't understand that the struggle is real. Me and the Most High just had a talk today about the realness of the struggle. Yeah. I still face distractions. People think I be joking. When I come on this platform, people always ask why. Because that's what the Most High said. That's all I can tell y'all. That's what the Most High said. Put your face on when you come on this platform. Last 2 weeks, I ain't had no face on. I thank the Most High that at this point in time, and I said it don't transfer over the same. It don't transfer over the same, but your face don't transfer over the same as it does when it has on makeup. So of course, when you on TV, because this TV kind of like TV now. YouTube is the new TV. When you on screen, it still doesn't transfer over the same if you don't have on makeup. But I believe the Most High said to do the makeup. If y'all want to know why, y'all gonna have to ask the Most High. But I said all of that to say, I believe that that my faithfulness is trumping that part right now. That is a distraction, the distraction of the day. And I got most everything that I wrote down on my list done today. And I was like, yay, God, thank you, me. Because what my pastor talked about yesterday, that is the thing that gets me, the discipline of my day. The discipline of my day and sticking to the script. Not that I don't get things done. But for real, if I don't write it down, I have to write it down. If I don't write it down, it don't come across right. It just don't come across right. And some things may get left out. But when I write it down, I can go in and check things off as I go. So, yeah. Get up off of that thing, what he's been preaching about for the last 3 weeks. And it was speaking about the thing that hinders us, where our spiritual gifts are concerned. And the first week he spoke about apathy being a thing that hinders us. The next week it was excuses. And this week it was whatever is holding you back. And that's what I would say is holding me back. But he hit on compassion in this week's sermon. Matthew 9, verse 36 speaks about compassion. And when he spoke about that, it just took me back to the Night and Day guys talking about how Wendy deserved some compassion, because it's people really out there saying things like let her die, based off the fact that she was a gossip columnist. And they went on to name some Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake just did Sherry Shepherd. Ricky Lake did gossip. Jerry Springer did some Mari did some gossip. They all had their hand in a little bit of gossip. But you digging Wendy out and saying such harsh things because she's gone through. And that's where I went into the depression, because if you read her book, I mean, that's a depressive state. She said she was depressed in her books. She said that. And that walk in healing is not easy for somebody who is not in the limelight. But we tend to think that people in the limelight just supposed to be able to handle all that limelight, to be us, to be them. the folk that judge so harshly. Oh, that you could switch or walk in the shoes of somebody. Look, I just talked about today how the woman told her. Sorry, y'all. How the woman told me that God wouldn't have told her to give up her job in her place. And I told her, her walk with God is her walk with God, and mine is mine. Period. Period. Not only am I beginning to see why God asked me to do it, God had already prepared me and spoke to my spirit. I just took a long time doing it. I mean, but it was right on time. Everything God do is right on time, but I was like, yeah, I had that same thought process. I can't do this. No, God, I can't do this. 3 whole years. 3 whole years. I can't give up my job, Lord. Who are we? If we, and I just told somebody this, it wasn't even about a job. I just told somebody this about ministry and where you do ministry at. I think it's that serious, especially in this day and time. I received the word, but you're going to either listen or you're not. All I'm saying is put it before the Most High. I told her that. Because you got 2 churches. Now, it's something I was raised, because we do what we raised on, especially in the Christian faith. I was raised, and I just said that today. You're supposed to choose a church. You ain't supposed to be members at 2. You ain't supposed to leave one and not leave. You supposed to, it's like school. You're supposed to disenroll when you leave. So when they were saying I was still on the road today, they thought I was still on the road. Well, I won't supposed to be still on the road, because I made sure I was obedient, said I was leaving. But this also, I know several people who have said that they are supposed to be back at that church. And for pride is what I hear most. For pride, these women, because we talking about women, compassion or not. Because the fool think he right in his own eyes, and the fool ain't just going to be outside of the church. So we're going to talk about some fools outside of the church house. But the fool is not just going to be outside of the church house. The fool is not just going to be outside of the church house. The wolf in sheep's clothing is not just going to be outside of the church house. But if we is content on thinking everything going to happen outside of the church house, woo, buddy, we're going to take this thing back to delusional. But we're not going backwards. So we had compassion. We're not going backwards. I spoke to every spirit that came to me and said that they believed that they were supposed to be back at that church, and said, you might want to talk to the Most High, because if you're supposed to be back, and then look where I'm at, back with people who thought that I was punished when I left out. No, that was part of the plan. That was part of my security and my stability. I was comfortable at my church. I just checked myself on that today, because I ain't never involved in it. I just kept saying my job and my place. But no, I was comfortable at my church. God had been telling me to leave for a whole year. I was like, God, I'm comfortable. I like it here. I've been there for 10 years. Even though people got on my nerves, I know I got on people's nerves. Period. I know I did. But I like it here. When we comfortable, we gonna do what we is comfortable with doing sometimes and call it God. Or we gonna understand that we doing what we want to do in spite of what God said. I just want to make sure in this season, the season of the first shall be last, skedaddle first, and the last shall be first. This is going to have to be a season where you are putting the Most High's needs ahead of your own, and know that you are. Not just fathom that you are. We don't know what the Most High would ask us to do. We really don't. Unless you just sat down and had a conversation about your whole life. And that's another thing that I was taught, is that God ain't going to give you more than you can bear. And if God told you everything from the beginning to the end, well, woe to you, because you couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. So, Wendy. Now, I can't say that everybody is going to believe that Wendy deserves compassion, but when you think about all the things that she has gone through, in spite of doing her job, because just like I said, everybody's, everybody is not going to like your job. Everybody is not going to like the job that somebody is doing. Doesn't mean that that person doesn't deserve compassion when they go through a thing. Like, she ain't kill nobody. She ain't never get sued. Tasha K done got sued. And I still follow her. I am very much aware of her flaws and her shortcomings. I said she wasn't going to, people were like, she ain't ran on YouTube page. I said, I doubt that very seriously. This woman just got very much a whole lot of publicity. That's all I kept saying. That $4 million lawsuit brought her a whole lot of publicity. Now the mainstream knows who Tasha K is. Now you got another YouTuber, the mainstream. I don't know who she is, because Nikki is suing her. That's Nosy Ho. Yes, her name is Nosy Ho. I be out in these YouTube streets, and that's the women's. Okay. So on that same, no, this was not the same live. Well, I wasn't on live. I wasn't on their live. I just was watching their podcast night and day when they were talking about Wendy and showing her compassion. But on that same live, Political Oppressor, they talked about first the migrants that showed up at Kamala Harris's home. And they make you think about it from a different vantage point. That's my whole thing, because the Most High knows that I know. I don't just believe it. I don't think it. I know that I am highly intelligent, but I also can have a little bit of gullibleness or naivete. And I when I look at things, because my babies have told me to pay. I told people to pay attention to detail. I'm in the call center where I've told people to pay attention to detail for almost 30 years. It was probably 28 years into that when the Most High had to tell me that's for you. Baby, that's for you. That's for you. My babies can watch a commercial with multiple things going on and multiple people in it, and they'll tell you what the person doing in the back and everything like that. And I'm more apt to get caught right there in that front. I might tell you what everybody is doing across that front row, but I'm pretty much not going to look at the back. And that's what the Most High is teaching me how to do. How to look at the back, how to look at something other, how to not see through rose-colored glasses, how to open up my eyes and see things for what they could be. When they started talking about those migrants and they said they sent them to her house, the first thing I'm like, that is dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Like, they might not all be migrants. Some of them may be criminals. But then they began to talk about the way these people were dressed. Now, they supposed to be migrants. They supposed to be homeless. And, they done did their Scarface little skit and all this stuff like that. They said these people is dressed like they got on name brand clothes. None of them look like they homeless. They look like they done had great eats. Like they just started naming things because they something like conspiracy theorists. They something like conspiracy theories, but it makes you look at it. It makes you look at it. And then they went on, a lot of the podcasters that I watch are not really down for the voting thing, and they speak about it. Um, they speak about it. They made reference to the parties being like Pepsi and Coke. And we've always been taught choose the lesser of two evils, or this, that, and the other. But what I have seen in these streets is that if you black and you're not Democrat, OMG, woe to you. Because you are solely, first and foremost, just a Trump supporter, even if you don't agree with things that Donald Trump did. Because you're not a Democrat, you become a Trump supporter. You don't even become a Republican. You become a Trump supporter. So I thought it very interesting when they compared it to Pepsi and Coke. Because the first thing my brain started saying is, I like Pepsi. I like Pepsi. Anybody that was watching them probably started saying what they like. I'm just started saying what they like. But then my brain started thinking, Lord, you took me to the Union Mission and I had to stay and chill there for a little while, like something like 3 months. And when you had me at the Union Mission, Lord, you let me run across Miss Ernestine. I love Miss Ernestine. Miss Ernestine looked so much like my mom. It was ridiculous. She was I think she was in like deeper stages of like Alzheimer's. And she wound up, I ain't even gonna talk about that. That's neither here nor there. She wound up not there, and it was through no fault of her own. And it kind of bothers me when we talk about that. But I said all that to say, Miss Ernestine used to have Cokes, and I started, buying her Cokes as well, because the staff used to drink her Cokes. So I started buying her Cokes. I started counting her Cokes. Take a Coke out of here if you want to, staff. So I let them know, I am not the one to be messed with. I was like a hurricane blowing through that Union Mission, because they weren't used to somebody that was going to stand up for themselves. Because when you're homeless, I guess you're supposed to stay in a homeless person's place, whatever that is, and they think they're going to treat you like they treated my mother in New York. And I am not that one. Y'all got to understand that the Most High sent me in here for a purpose. I came in here to watch. I came in here to learn. I came in here to grow. I came in here to teach, baby. While I was sheltered. Yes. Because I still had to go live. I couldn't just... That was one of the hardest things. I ain't go live a lot. So it was not easy. But I still had to go live. That was an experience. But I said that I believe that the Most High allowed me to experience it as an adult rather than a child. Because those homeless shelters in New York, when I was growing up, was nowhere for me to be. I went through enough. So, anywho, Miss Ernestine turned me on to those Cokes, and I learned how good a Coke could be under the right circumstances. Sylvie 414 is the name of this broadcast. That one in the middle is balance. Let you be able to see it from both sides. I learned how good a Coke could be. So good that I started buying a canned Coke every now and then. Making sure I put that joker in the freezer. I need for that joker to be chilled real good. And I am going to kill this Coke, and you could not give me to drink no Coke when I was coming up. Once I tasted it, and it did not taste like Pepsi, it tasted like extra sweet sugar. I ain't want it. I ain't want it. I ain't want it. And I ain't want it. Period. So, the Most High said to me that the right politician is for the people. That's what the Most High spoke to me. The Most High didn't speak to me that the right politician was a Democrat or a Republican, because unlike what a lot of the podcasts out here speak, they're just totally against it. The Most High put it in my spirit. The Most High put it in my spirit that politics is not null and void, but it's the person that's for the people. And if y'all think, I don't gotta say no more. You think you got some for the people folks leading you right now? Political oppressor. Political oppressor. All right, now let's get back. Oh yeah, let me talk about this shadow right quick. I'm gonna talk about this shadow, and then I'm gonna get into the rest of these women, and then I'm gonna be out, because this shadow work is important. This shadow work is about going inside, and the Most High just gave me that it can be a very scary place. The shadow is dark. If you think about your shadow when you see it, when I was a child, I loved my shadow. I used to want to jump on it and I couldn't. Like, I really wanted to really be able to interact with my shadow in a way that it might not have been most healthy. I wanted to play with my shadow. But once you get that real shadow, you sometimes don't want to play with that. You don't even want to know it. You rather bury it. It's scary. I was standing outside on the porch the other day. Last night, I think, waiting for my neighbor, because the spiders is real on that back porch, Mike. The spiders is real. And he be talking about something. You don't want to take the web down if you don't see the spider on it, because if you don't see the spider on it, then you can't kill it. You want to leave the web up there. I don't want to see the spider. Anytime I see the webs, I go and take the webs down. I don't want to see the spider. I came out the house that night, the night that the shadow scared me, because I saw it and I jumped. It was dark on the porch. I had my flashlight on from my phone, and that's probably why my shadow scared me. So I was waiting for him to come and kill that spider that was over top of the door. I'm so used to the spiders being out there that I go out there with my flashlight on instantaneously. I never have had to look over my head. When I got out that door, I looked over my head and got stunned and said I was not moving. He won't even. He was on his way home. I thought he said he was on his way to Virginia Beach. He was saying he was on his way from Virginia Beach. When he pulled up, I was just wrapping in my brain that I was going to have to walk past that back door. I said, Lord, I'm not going back in that back door, but I walked past that back door, because that spider was the biggest one that I had ever seen. It had a big old white butt sitting on it, and I was just like, no, I kept my flashlight on that spider the entire time. So I said all that to say that your shadow, I went out there today, real quick. Went out there today to get ready to sit out there. I had just put the chair back. Went out there today to get ready before I came live. And look, don't do this. Let me put on my airplane mode. I need that on because I don't need the airplane mode not to be on because my battery is dead on this phone. And I probably can put the charger on it though, for real, at this point because that phone should stay charged. But I had just gone outside, just put the chair back. I go back outside a couple of hours later before I go live. Why is there a spider done build a web on the chair? I just see the big spider. I called him. Where are you? Are you home? I need you to come get this spider. He was like, let's go sit on my porch. So I went and sat on his porch and finished doing what it is that I was getting ready to do out there on my porch. I didn't want any parts of that spider. I don't understand why them spiders is out there like that and they be humongous. He killed 2 the other night. Okay? But as scary as the shadow is, we gotta face it. In order to be better, you have to be able to go inside. You have to be able to face that dark place, those dark places, whatever that trauma may be, whether it came from childhood, whether it came from past relationships. You have to be able to face that trauma, or it's just going to eat at you. It's just going to leave you miserable. Miserable. It's not going to allow you to be the best you for yourself, for your family. And you got to do it for yourself first, but you who don't want to be the best person for themselves and their family? But if you ain't the best person for yourself, you're going to think it's okay just not to be the best person. And if you're not the best person and you have children, you cannot protect your children fully if you're not at your peak. You cannot protect your children fully if you're not at your peak. So, yes. Went on to say, just gonna give you some quick information about the shadow, and then we're gonna talk about these 3 women, and I'm gonna get out of here. Exploring the shadow can provide important answers, attempting to make deeper connections with self and soul, and become the most complete version of yourself. You're whole. But life's events make you feel disjointed. And it ain't no joke. When life happened, it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. And just determined by what in life may happen to be even less of a joke. So it can have you feeling disjointed. But doing that shadow work is going to help you reach a balanced place even in that. It's going to help you heal from childhood wounds. And again, I'll say, if it's not something that you believe that you can do on your own, please seek help. I am not the professional. Not the professional. So if you are not or are refusing to do your shadow work, it can cause the destructive behaviors. We can connect that to Proverbs 19:3. It said that it's going to pervert your ways. Foolishness of a man. It's foolish not to want to know yourself fully. Foolishness of a man will pervert his ways, lead to destructive behaviors. And destructive behaviors don't get better if you're not trying to work at getting them better. They get worse. It says the work can help you find constructive habits. I can't say enough about breathing. Exercising is a good habit. That breathing, though, And like I'll continue to say, you can't just say I breathed. welcome, welcome. You can't just say I breathed or I tried. That breathing literally have to be deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth until you feel your heart rate slow down. I cannot say that enough. Until you feel your heart rate slow down. I've done it to know that it works. The goal is to try and not allow your heart rate to get to that place, but while you're still in a place where your heart rate may, get to that place until you feel your heart rate slow down. Period. Says, when you're repressing your shadow, you're going to find other outlets, such as abuse of drugs and alcohol, negative self-talk, stress, mental health. And I talk about the psyche all the time. This is about wanting to be at your highest energy level, the highest God powers in your mind. That is about facing your psyche. Because all too often, depression is a psyche issue. And all too often, we're not getting the assistance in the medical field that we need. So we have to be willing to encourage one another by any means necessary. I don't want to, I don't just say this stuff on a platform. I believe that the Most High gave me this platform because the Most High knows that I will say this stuff regardless. I've said these things to my daughters. And there are things, I have had to play a role where I've had to back up because you can give a little bit too much sometimes. And my daughter's made very clear of that. But there's also the fact that I know that they come back now and we discuss things that I have said to them. So I believe that the Most High knew. You can trust me with that. And I had to be brought to the point where I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, because what I might say to my daughters, I'm not just going to say to other people. And the Most High been saying, step on toes, step on toes, step on toes. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be stepping on nobody's toes. I ain't trying to step on nobody's toes. I don't want to be in nobody's business. I don't. I really just sit around minding my business. But God knows I also am going to tell the truth when the truth needs to be told. And I'm not going to ever call a lie the truth. Or say that a lie is okay. I don't care if it's coming from me. Excuse me. I don't care if it's coming from me or somebody else. I'm not going to ever call a lie the truth. So to repress something, if you press something down for so long, you press and press and press, that thing going to explode eventually. Ain't going to have nowhere else to go. It's going to explode. If you're repressing, your life is not going to be authentic. It's not going to be authentic. You're going to have wrong thoughts and wrong relationships. And you're not going to understand why. Why? Because a lot of times when somebody don't want to look within, they is apt to pass the buck. Yeah. They is apt to pass the buck. And whenever passer buckers are in my vicinity, I'm generally apt to let them know that you should not pass the buck, but you should take responsibility for your own actions. That's what adults do. We take responsibility for our own actions. And if you are of adult age and you don't take responsibility for your own actions, Your ways are probably going to be perverted, and I'm probably not going to have compassion on you because can't nobody tell you nothing. That first verse in Proverbs said that a wise person is going to be able to be advised. That means they are going to want to ask for advice and they're going to want to take it. But that last verse said that somebody can give you advice. And you're going to listen, you're going to hear it and they ain't going to take it. You're going to ask for it. They're going to give it to you. And then you still going to do what you want to do. That's what the verse said. I'm just saying what the verse said. So, if you are interested in starting your shadow work, you want to keep a running log of any time you get strong emotions. And I have started to do that. Because I know some of the things that I get strong emotions about are out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. And that's when you have to figure out figure out what your healthy habits are going to be when there's nothing you can do about something that you have an issue with. It says if you judge yourself and distance yourself from yourself, the analysis stops and you just move on. Can't distance yourself from yourself. You have to be willing to sit with you and judge yourself righteously. If you're having a problem with the way you judge yourself, chances are you're judging other people that way as well. Harshly, I used to judge myself harshly. People have had to tell me to stop being so hard on myself. Yeah. Working on me has really helped me to judge people less harshly. Now, if you need the smoke, you can get the smoke. I'm thinking I might have to, I don't know, I might not have to. If you need the smoke, you can get the smoke. But I try to really determine if the smoke needs to be given or not. And a lot of times it don't. it don't. I said it. You got to notice it and sit with the feelings. So 5 questions you want to ask yourself when starting your shadow work. Who am I? What do I want? What do I have to let go to get the things desired? Who do I have to become to receive these things? And how do I want to show up? Okay. So, real quick to my men, because I watch my men and I watch the men who are well balanced on YouTube in comparison to the men who could stand to have some balance. I watch a young man who gives commentary on Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown used to be a basketball player. They gave him a really hard time. I think he played on a team with Michael Jordan, and when Jordan came on the team, he was kind of like undercut. Like he was supposed to be better than he was, but he couldn't be who he was supposed to be. Who can be who they supposed to be beside Michael Jordan? I think it was something like that, but that's neither here nor there because that's not the importance of it. He has a lot of beef with a lot of YouTubers that used to be basketball players and things like that because they gave him a hard time. He really came on the scene really dogging Stephen A. Smith because he said Stephen A. Smith gave him the hardest time because Stephen A. Smith was a broadcaster, so you was making it hard for a young black college student back then. But it's a Gilbert Arenas. I think he was a basketball player too. This is who he's beefing with. So they were on the platform of 2 ladies that used to be commentators, not commentators, moderators on Kwame Brown's station. The young man that I was watching has beef. I'm going to go back to Night and Day and tie something that went on with them in this as well. The young man that I was watching, damn, he has beef with these two women. Now, I have said a lot that I have an issue with men having beef with women. I don't care whether they're heterosexual, LGBTQ. If you're a man that has beef with a woman, it's an issue with that. Unless these women is out here trying to be in men's spaces. And when I say trying to be in men's spaces, let me say this about Kwame real quick because I was going there. Him and Gilbert, he said today of him and Gilbert Arenas that he knew if they would have got on that platform together that they was going to do man things. They was going to puff their chests out. They was going to, they was going to be trying to one-up each other. Nathan Daly, an ex-cop, just basically said that about men when talking about Fat Joe's statement in reference to this young man, this young rapper that just got killed, PNB. And he also, Nathan Daly also talked about Shaka Zulu, who was either a manager or an ex-manager of Ludacris's, who went from having a self-defense case to a murder case. Nathan has not done the research, so he's not sure why it went from self-defense to murder. He did not like that Fat Joe got on that platform and said, if you gon' rob, don't kill. He was like, you shouldn't even be saying if you're gonna rob. And I understand that. He was headed to the fact of everybody talking about these guys not being foundational Black Americans, which is neither here nor there because somebody lose their life. Why are you even worried about that? But in all of that, he also said that when men try to handle their confrontation, men on men confrontation, they handle it in their emotions, which is basically the same thing that Kwame was saying about him and Gilbert Arenas if they would have got up there together. Sister T wound up putting Kwame off of her page, and she's supposed to be the Kwame supporter. Queen Regina and Sister T, they call themselves Salt and Pepper, and they do a podcast together. I've been looking at their content. I have no compassion for Sister T. I have no compassion for Sister T. I was asking the same questions that Dan was asking. When I went to Queen Regina's page and watched some of her clips, I said, okay, Lord, that this was before I even went and watched the one today where he was speaking about not having any compassion for Sister T. All I said about Queen Regina is, well, Lord, she look a little Mayish. She reminds me of May. And for those that may not know May is my ex-mother-in-law. And I love her dearly. We have not always gotten along. We have not. And my ex-mother-in-law was something else, buddy. I love her dearly, and she will do anything for me. And I will do anything within my power for her. But if I call on her, and I have, in these last few months, but she also said no. So when I looked at Queen Regina, I said, she's a little Mayish, Lord. But I understand, and I know my ex-mother-in-law's heart, really. And the fact that it's hard to unchange ways, but when you see somebody who knows that who comes to realize at some point that they are the common denominator, and you see them trying to work at it, that's compassion waiting to happen. That's what I felt about Queen Regina when I watched it. Now, Damn is not willing to give her as much compassion. But when I went to her page, like I said, that was before today. I just watched this live today where Damn is not willing to give her as much compassion. I watched her page last week. When I first started watching Damn, that was probably about a week and a half ago, I started going and looking at Queen Regina's and Sister T's pages, and Sister T is a hot mess. Sister T is on the verge of what did I say? Proverbs 19:3. She on the verge of Proverbs 19:3, and in this piece, foolishness of a man perverteth his ways. Yeah. Whereas Queen Regina, if you can really sit back and listen to some wise counsel, you can be good. Compassion or nah. Compassion or nah. Because even the Bible tell you to brush the dirt off and keep it moving with some folks. Compassion or nah. Like when I went to Sister T's page, and like everything, she's skipping over everything she's skipping over all of her parts and going to the parts of everybody who responded. There go that 11:11. Everybody that responded in reference to what she did. I watched other podcasters that said that this beef that they have with Damn, they started. And this is podcasters that don't like Damn or Kwame. Damn don't like Kwame. But the women really don't like Damn. Kwame don't have no problem with Damn. But Damn don't like Kwame. But he's been basically going to bat for Kwame because he's watching how those two women were moving around him and moving into some of his enemies' spaces. So they are doing this. And when women start doing things like that, are we just going to sit around? Because this is going to bring me back to Night and Day. And call it okay because they women? We going to do that? Because I just did that video about Tiffany Haddish. Because Night and Day said today, is anybody still talking about? I am, because it's a little baby out there. It's a little baby out there. I don't know if this stuff, because they say a lot of this stuff is distraction. Go grow your food. Amtrak on strike. Political oppressor. Amtrak is on strike. Go grow your food. We already don't have anything. The truckers went on strike and the groceries went up. Amtrak is on strike now. But I'm not gonna ever call right wrong. When the media is dragging Aries Spears and making Tiffany Haddish look like the princess in this. If they smoke to go around. Tiffany Haddish befriended the mother and took her children and said that they were going to do a Nickelodeon skit and she was going to make them actors. And that baby boy is still a baby boy. I'm about the babies over here. Perverted ways. I said the abused can become the abuser. This all allegedly, but the tape is what the tape is in that instance. But Sister T gets no compassion. So we fast forward to Night and Day and this young lady, and then I'm going to be out, y'all. So Night and Day, ecclesiastical oppression much. Because I said when I first heard this story, Lord, I do not want to just go on Facebook and make a video about that, because if I just go on Facebook and make a video, I promise I'm going to be doing it out of the whole of my emotions. Cannot do that. I'm going to call him Bishop Bling Bling like the Night and Day guys do, even though my thing is I've always defended that fact. Then we talking about Bishop Whitehead. The man still ain't in jail. Y'all, they brought all kinds of past stuff up because the man got robbed, whether it was a setup or not. The man got robbed, and y'all is just content on saying people ain't supposed to wear their jewelry. People get to make the choices that they make with their lives and have to deal with any consequences. He get to wear his jewelry. He get to wear it. Every rapper that wears their jewelry, they get to wear their jewelry. Every rich person that floss, they get to floss. You just don't want to come on complaining when you get robbed or worse. When you do that. Now, with that being said, you couldn't get the man for anything more than the fact that he just wore his jewelry and he dressed like he was young. Who got to be wearing it? Maybe he was stuck in his youth. A lot of men are. You have women stuck in their youth. Maybe he was stuck in his youth. Maybe he liked name brand. A lot of people love name brand and they like the biggest and the gaudiest of the name brand. I just told one of my church members the other day, I don't have to have name brand because I promise I can look fly. Just as fly as the person next to me with all of the MKs and Gs and Ps and all of that all over their stuff. I went to the thrift store and got right. I don't have to have it. I don't say I don't like some name brand stuff, but I don't have to have it because I can go down to Canal Street and get a Coach bag. What I'm not going to do is buy a knockoff that says something other than Coach. I'm not going to buy something that look like Coach and say something else. I'm not going to do that. But I have been known to go down to Canal Street and get a Coach bag. Have been known to do that. And I have been known to buy a name brand from time to time that was really real. But I'm not for the Michael Kors that got MK all over the sneaker or the Gucci that got G all over the sneaker. That's just a bit much for me. Even my Louis Vuitton bag, when I bought my Louis Vuitton bag, it had the smallest Louis Vuitton on the bag. Like, I buy something because I like it. Even when I go into the stores, and my daughters used to tell me that, and my ex-husband, even when I go into the stores, because I can go shop at Rainbow, what I like is probably going to be closer to the most high-end things in Rainbow. So I probably think I'm doing my pockets good to stay out of the name brand stores because the things that I like tend to be a little more on the more expensive side. So it's neither here nor there. But anywho, the young lady, because today they came on and they had proof that it was a setup, because all you heard the other day was that he punched somebody. And I'm like, Lord, this man can't stay out of the news at this point. He punched one of his church members. He punched. And then they showed this weird video. It was a weird video. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to talk about it right now because it's going to be emotional. So the Night and Day guys came out today, said it was proof it was a setup, and they believe that there are vloggers behind it. And all I kept saying is, I hope it's not the vloggers that I think it is. The vloggers that came out about the robbery were two clergy who I felt like handled it very unclergy-like. They handled it very unclergy-like. Now it was Larry Reed, and I don't know what that young lady's name was, but that is the vlogger. Larry Reed's name is the name that the Night and Day guys called out that he is saying that he believes is associated with it, and King Jives, who are two vloggers that he is suing because of the way they went about the handling of the robbery. So the young lady came on and was giving the Night and Day guys smoke because they showed the video from another angle. And what you heard the bishop say in the first video, he was like the women were headed towards his children. You saw him go off camera in that first video as if he was putting someone out. Then he came back to the front and someone came back to the front. So it appeared as if whoever he had put out came back in the church, came up to the front of the church. I don't know if it's all staged or what have you, but the Night and Day boys got out of that it was a setup. And I could see that from the beginning that something just wasn't right about how it went down. But The young lady in the chat was all over the Night and Day guys because they were seeing it as a setup and weren't on the side of the women. And the young lady in the chat just felt like you were supposed to be on the side of the women. So we just going to. They showed video that showed the women before they even went in there taping it. They went in there to antagonize that man. They went in there to antagonize that man. They set it up from the beginning. They was talking about it with their tape, their phone taping before they even went in church. They went in there to antagonize him. And when they got the smoke that they wanted, I guess they couldn't handle that smoke. How foolish was that? Compassion or not? Because he took, and that's all he did. He took him by the head. You getting up out of here. Took him by the head. But guess what? They caught the charges, not him. They caught the charges, not him. See, 127, that number tells me to speak to women. I said before that at first I thought it was black women, and then the Lord told me, don't make it a black thing. And I named the Kardashians, and we just here recently had Jeanette McGurdy, and I think McGurdy is not the way you pronounce her last name, but Lovely T got me calling her the wrong last name, but she's saying from iCarly. Don't make this a black thing, is what the Most High said. But the 127 tells me to speak to women. And the Most High took me to Kevin Samuels. You know, he was the other person that people just, like Wendy, they want no clips. You just, with Wendy, I'm finished, y'all. With Wendy, you just went off what you heard. With Kevin Samuels, you just, whatever clips you might have seen on TikTok, you went with those. Had you gone and watched that man's content, you would understand him a lot better. I don't cap for him because I stopped watching him because he was over the top. But the point of it is, Sylvie, 414, that one in the middle, is that I might see the balance. Jesus had someone sitting on that side of him and on that side of him. That cross where he was, that was like the one. And he was like the one in the middle. His cross was like the one in the middle, and the mother two was the fours. Jesus could see it from both sides. The wisest man in the Bible told us to eat, drink, and be merry. We should listen to him. Eat, drink, and be merry. The only way to be merry is to learn yourself. Because other than that, if you're drinking, you're probably drinking to try not to get in contact with yourself. But if you want to be merry, eat, drink, and be merry, learn yourself. Sit with yourself over some cheese and some wine, maybe. Good old soul food, maybe. And a glass of wine. Solomon said, eat, drink, and be merry. And the Most High gave him 3 books. 3 books. Proverbs, Song of Songs or Songs of Solomon, and Ecclesiastes. 3 books to give us so much wisdom. And I love the Proverbs. I love the Proverbs before I was called. I guess that's what the Most High had to do to get me prepared. Made me love it in the beginning before I was called to it to start bringing this podcast. So y'all, I thank y'all for y'all ear. I'm really still I be watching podcasters and I'll sit there and I'll be like, I'm not gonna watch this whole podcast, and I don't watch it in one sitting. But some of the podcasters I watch be having 3 hour long podcast, 3 and 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and I ain't watching now 6 hours, but I will watch, turn off, watch, turn off, because even when I'm like after I go live and I chop my video up to post it on the platforms throughout the week, I'm watching podcasts as I'm chopping my videos up and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I get to watch long podcasts like that. Not because I'm getting ready to sit. My attention span is not going to let me do that. But y'all, I thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm getting it together. I'm excited. I thank everybody that like supports me and like come back to support. And like I said, gonna shout out to YouTube every week that I come live. I thank y'all. My platform is still growing on YouTube. Like it still is the slowest platform growing, but since I got to 100, it hasn't stopped. Like I'm still, and what I've also noticed is that you guys are viewing my content more on YouTube. So shout out to YouTube, shout out to all of my platforms, shout out to my people on Facebook, because y'all are faithful. Like even if I don't see y'all every time I come live, I know the ones that I see come back. So I thank y'all for chilling with me. I thank y'all for listening to my content. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. And I am out because I is tired. Y'all have a nice one. Schedule your next live video. Oh, this is not a touch screen.